Welcome to Cortex Signals, insights on AI from Cortex Reply, hosted by Sanjay Dandeker. Joining him are Matt Hull, Head of Customer Experience, and AI engineer Josh Prout. Together, they share how AI agents are transforming customer experience.
Welcome to part 2, where we're talking about how AI agents are transforming customer experience. I'm joined today by Matt Hull and Josh Prout. So we've touched on testing a little bit. So testing with AI systems in general is very, very important. There's lots of conversations out there around the fact that AI outputs are non-deterministic, and therefore it's more important to perform the level of testing. How is this done within the customer experience world in terms of testing to ensure that you're not putting a system out there that is going to have a negative impact on your customer base?
So I think in terms of testing that's being performed now, it tends to be a limited number of scenarios written by usually management or people closer to the product, for example, limited number of scenarios that are tested against the system, and then the outputs are evaluated. And then you can really see this mismatch between success in a test environment and then success in production. Because once it's out there, the range of queries, the range of situations that customers are going to bring to you is far greater than anything that you could imagine, even as someone really experienced in your organization. So how testing should be done? My opinion, we need to utilize the massive wealth of analytics that we have in the contact center. If you've been collecting your call recordings, transcriptions, all of your interaction history, we need to be using those to build our test cases, build off the real interactions that you have, and then you'll have a much more realistic test case scenario. And we've been looking as well at some simulation. So we're using AI to generate simulated test cases that we can use against the systems that we build, interact as a customer, and really review the results in depth.
If you look at traditional contact centers, we generally have QMs, so quality managers, who review agents, like review human agents. They'll select some interactions, etc. It's normally like a low percentage. We do use AI to now evaluate all the human agents, but we should also use that same methodology, those same criteria to evaluate our AI. So now we're evaluating not just humans, but all the AI and what their outputs are. And then if we need to tweak or change things, we can tweak and change them as we need to.
And that comes on to observability as well. So observability is another area I have a lot of conversations with customers around outside of the customer experience world. But how is observability integrated into these types of solutions to ensure that you have that visibility and understanding of what's going on?
Yeah, so again, I'm going to sort of split the answer into what's being done now and what we think should be being done in future. But at the moment, there's a lot of very scalar metrics. So single numbers when we're talking about average handle time, contact dropout, CSAT. A number, if it's a single number, it's just going to tell you if you failed. It's never going to tell you why. And I think that having a much deeper level of observability, especially with your AI interactions, is so important. So one of the pieces of work that we've been doing at the moment is about importing all of our agentic AI interactions from customer support situations into a technology called LangFuse, where we can really deeply analyze not just the outputs, not just what the AI has actually said back to the customer, but the internal reasoning, the tools that were called, what information the AI has gained from the APIs that your organization might have. Really digging deep into all of that interaction under the hood is so important, and it's something that leaders that I speak to all the time are really, really keen to see. They don't just want to know what's happened, they really want to know the why.
My current client that I'm working on is heavily regulated, so a bank. So we have to prove all this to the FSA, to the regulators, to ensure that AI has made the correct decision, why it made that decision, and how it did it, and what were the steps it took to do it.
And technology in this AI space is moving very, very rapidly. There's new tools, new services, new things coming out every other week, if not every other day. Where do you guys see this going? Like, what do you see in the future of the customer experience world? Are there going to be new tools coming out? Are they going to be like just evolution of the existing services and tools?
I think it's how far in the future you want to look. I think if I...
As far as you can look.
So I think if we were going to fast forward 5-10 years, then like we're going to start seeing our own AI assistants like Siri that we use today or Alexa integrating with a business to business sort of AI to AI model. Siri, or let's use Alexa, already understands that I bought a pair of jeans from Levi's and now I've got a fault with them. And I would just go, Siri, I've got a fault with my pair of Levi's. Can you sort out a return for them? And it will speak to Levi's AI agent, and between those two, they will organize returns. They will deal with troubleshooting. They'll deal with these faults with themselves, and you'll just interact with Siri. You won't know the phone number to ring Levi's. You won't have to go on their website. You won't have to go anywhere. We'll make it our AI assistant talk to their AI assistant, and together we'll work it out.
I think from going back to more of a developer experience, I think we're going to see a shift from us taking our best practices, taking our knowledge of how support and customer experience is delivered in the organization, and putting that into an AI, which organizations are starting to do really well, but actually reversing that role where AI is going to be the one that is suggesting improvements, finding enhancements, discovering these edge cases where perhaps there is a gap in our organization's policy and how we approach certain types of customers, certain types of issues. And it's going to be feeding that back in where we can have an actual organic improvement of the customer experience powered by AI.
Yeah, and I think like when we look at organizations today, so they might be doing, let's say, like a 60% containment ratio in their IVRs or voice AI today, and they're sort of cherry picking the easier case, the deterministic, real easy outcomes like what's your balance, you reset a PIN number, reset a password, that kind of thing. We're just going to be able to get more and more advanced with the technology as it moves on. So we can already do agentic flows with 4 or 5 agents going to do different things, all while you're sat on the phone speaking with the AI, but in the background we're running tasks, we're running checks in the background, etc. We're just going to be able to do more and more and more with that. So these, not just looking at simple use cases, but looking at more and more of those complex use cases and opening those up to where we can interact with a customer directly without needing human agent for it.
As we move into this world where AI agents are managing more and more of these interactions, where does that leave the human agents, and how does that role evolve?
It's a good question because like everyone's worried about the staff and jobs, and do we want to make a load of people redundant? I don't think so. Like we look at agent burnout, we know agent burnout is a massive problem in the contact center, and a lot of the tasks that they are doing are repetitive, mundane tasks, simple things that we can definitely move away from an agent and to an AI. Or a human, to an AI. But we always are going to want to keep a human in the loop. We'll always want that failback option of if something goes wrong, if somebody needs an assistant, if somebody's, for argument's sake, got a disability and they've got customer care needs that they need to speak to a human rather than AI, we can always fall back and they will deal with those complex issues. They'll deal with those special cases all the time. I don't think we will get to a case anytime soon of 100% of our containment will be in by an AI agent.
So you see those roles evolving,
and then
rather than being replaced.
Training, like looking at the suggestions that we're coming up with AI to go, right, this is a new call flow, this is how we think it should. They'll review that and understand, well, we shouldn't do it like that because of this historic process that we've got within our organization.
Yeah, definitely. I don't agree that we should just have humans as a sort of fallback. I think that so a lot of the leaders that I've been speaking to are actually talking about how these positions are being elevated, going from a customer service, customer support representative to a customer experience leader. Because when you think about it, there's nobody that's closer to your actual customers than your people on the ground that are in touch with them all day, every day. So the wealth of knowledge and the understanding that they will actually have about your company that can be gleaned to enhance the support and the customer experience, you'd be missing out if you weren't using your that wealth of knowledge.
They become sort of key subject matter experts, and they may become a subject matter expert in a certain field, and then they would be responsible for ensuring that their AI agent equivalent is performing the best it possibly could.
So when it comes to customer experience and AI systems, there's a huge amount of knowledge that is required at the back end. How are these systems and leaders managing these knowledge bases and ensuring that things are being kept up to date?
Yeah, so I think when organizations begin this, AI, customer-facing AI journey, they tend to overestimate both the coverage and the quality of their organization's knowledge. So this is from talking to dozens of leaders recently. All of them say that knowledge became far more of an issue than they initially anticipated. So one organization that we spoke to, they thought that this AI solution, it would interact with roughly 50 knowledge articles for their support. It actually ended up needing over 2,000. Like an audit across their organization found that there was 2,000 relevant articles. So I think going in, having a real deep understanding of your organization's knowledge ecosystem, being prepared to challenge some of those decisions where policies have been documented, and how to prepare it for AI, because it's not simply a drag and drop solution. So one thing that I found really interesting talking to one organization is they brought in some unexpected contractors. They brought in librarians. And librarians, their role is information management, information organization, and traditionally that's been information organization for human beings. But those skills are hugely transferable into preparing knowledge and information to be given to AI, and they saw huge success with that. But the point I'm trying to underline here is that it's not a drag and drop solution. You really need to curate that knowledge and prepare it for AI.
Yeah, and I've seen in organisations that I've been working in is that a lot of those internal policy documents and knowledge documents include a lot of internal jargon that is not relevant to the external world or the external customer. So they refer to products in a different way. They refer to systems and stuff like that. So rewording those and rebuilding those with a customer focus lens is very different.
What's a capability in the customer experience space that you don't think is quite there yet today, but you see being developed in the next 2 to 3 years that's really going to be a game changer in this space?
Yeah, so I think another sort of thing that we're seeing is AI or chatbots acting as like a concierge service. So not just doing a task of being asked a question and responding, but then being able to talk about a brand, offer advice, sort of upsell and recommend things rather than it just being a problem and then solution, if that makes sense.
Also, looking into more proactive outreach at scale, so outbound communication. This is something that obviously requires a lot of resources, identifying, which customers we should be contacting. The idea of having a personalised outbound message to your entire customer base based on their, all of their traits, all of their interaction history would be unthinkable before AI. But these are possibilities that are really starting to come into the realm of possibility with the efficiency increases that we're starting to see with AI.
Yeah, and some of the use cases that we've seen for that are very event-driven. So if we think about travel industry where there could be a disruption in airline travel, for argument's sake, then we could do outbound personal reaches to those customers with options for the AI to action on the back of it of your flight's got cancelled, but here's some options and what would you like to book to replace that? There's an option to go later, there's an option to book a hotel, and the AI agent can do all that and have access to those backend systems to authorize that themselves.
So if a customer experience leader is looking at introducing AI into their contact centers, into their customer experience world today, is it a matter of ripping out everything they've got, bringing a new system in, or is this new technology, or is it more about being able to integrate and bring in this new world of AI agents into an existing ecosystem?
I think it's a mix of both. So the organisation I'm working at the minute, we are replacing a lot of their IVRs. So they've got a lot of static DTMF IVRs. We're replacing those all with an AI agent to do it. And the driver for us is to deliver containment. So we are currently working at a 64% containment ratio. We're moving up to a 70% containment ratio, but also taking on more and more tasks that we're able to do with a conversation bot that we aren't able to do with an IVR bot. So we're able to hold a full-on conversation rather than it just be a press one for this, press two for the other.
We're looking at more sort of technical troubleshooting for a broadband provider. And that's been really interesting, looking at the wide range of tools that we can actually give our AI agents when they're taking customers through troubleshooting, giving them access to network diagnostics, these tools and these APIs that you wouldn't traditionally think that a customer service AI agent would have access to. It's all becoming possible as models improve to build these more complex agentic use cases. It's a very exciting time.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that we've looked at and we're starting to implement is channel switching with a customer interaction. So they may ring up with a broadband problem, for argument's sake, and we may need them to go and plug a router in or unplug a router or plug a cable here or there. And what we could do is drop that conversation down from voice to, let's say, WhatsApp. And they could send us a picture of the WhatsApp and we carry on the conversation now in chat using WhatsApp and whatnot. And then if we need to escalate back to voice again, we can escalate back to voice again. And we continue all the context with that switching. So we know the same conversation. We know exactly the history that carried on that conversation. So we're always picking up exactly where we left off, not starting afresh every time.
And are you seeing any specific industry that is taking on agentic AI more than any other industry today?
I don't really think there's a sweet spot at the minute. Like, we are seeing it wide across a lot of the organizations. Like I say, I've been working in a banking industry, which is heavily regulated, really difficult to deploy stuff like AI. Josh is working at an ISP, but we're also speaking to football clubs about certain things. We're speaking to logistics companies about some other stuff as well. So it really, really broad across that area.
Yeah, I think any organization that's ready to put in that foundational work, it's applicable to any organization.
Do you have any final thoughts you want to share?
Yeah, I think I'd just love to stress that it's all of the things that we've talked about today. It's not a drop in. It's not a lift and shift. It's a journey. And I would say that anybody wanting to go down this journey, just be as open as possible to learning, and be open to learning, setting up your AI agents to learn and to improve with your organization.
Yeah, and I'd second that it's happening now. Customers and organizations are deploying this technology today. And if you're not thinking about it or not deploying it, then you're going to be left behind. And there'll be organizations with that differentiator that you've not got.
So that's been a really interesting conversation. Thank you guys for coming and joining me here today. If you've enjoyed this episode, please hit subscribe.
Don't forget to subscribe now to never miss another episode of Cortex Signals.